Well, hello, model car fans. Welcome to the Muscle Car Modeler. My name is Raul. And first, I want to thank everybody that commented on my last video about my workbench and some of the projects I have going on. And one, I was just looking for input on my restoration of my funny car. And because it's one of that, I'm not a big funny car person, as I mentioned in the other video, but it's just neat. It's just kind of funny to think about it, and I, get a kick out of it a little bit. And but I wanted to actually do something with them because the Javelin, I really do love that car. It's just, to me, it's a really cool car, and you just don't see them. But when it came to holy grails and wanting to build one of every year, so it's kind of funny how your dreams can progress and go farther than you even thought. So with that said, I mean, I started looking for these about 2010, somewhere right around there, 2009. But I really started to get into restorations in about like 2007, 2008. And I started watching eBay and grabbing whatever I could. And, thankfully I had some disposable income, and I was watching for a lot of that stuff. So, but a 70 Javelin just wasn't coming around my way. And eventually, I bought some 69s, and I did some resin casting, and I really got deep into that one. Some of you guys, know about that, but at one time I did offer a resin kit of the 68, 69 Javelins, and I cast almost everything. But the 70 Javelin, this one's all resin. I do have a video of this one. This is the Mark Donahue edition with some Fred Cady decals on it. This is the one I wanted to build, and this is kind of a burnt orange color and everything. So for me, this was my favorite 70 Javelin, and this is what I wanted to build. So I do have a video on this car, but this thing is literally all resin and a donor engine from another kit, and all of that. So when it came to it, this is a resin body. It was from Dencon Resins, which is, an old, well, now Lucas C. Same guy. I don't know if he's ever going to redo this one. He's talked about doing it. But anyway, it was his body, but it was the NASCAR body for the most part. Kind of funny that, there's a couple of different versions of this body, but he copied that. He didn't have a stock one. So when I built this one, I added the emblems, the street parts. I had cast the chassis from another kit. So I built this one. So this was my holy grail. This is the one that I really, really wanted. And it's kind of funny because, there's a Model House bumper on the back here, on the front. And it's kind of comical how some of that comes around. And I'll get to that here in a second. But this was the one I wanted to build. And I was like, all right, great. Well, that was the Mark Donahue Trans Am edition. Well, fast forward a few years, actually back in 2019 is when I built this one when I first started this channel. This is another Javelin. And same kind of thing. This was a rebuilder. Found it, and believe it was an eBay purchase. And when I had found this thing, I had found out about the actual car I modeled here. This is the Trans Am Javelin. Only 100 were made like this, and extremely rare car and very unknown. And it has this funky wing that I actually made functional. I spent some time doing it. There's videos of me building this and kind of working on it and sharing the story about it, and me actually running into a real one of these for breakfast, and meeting the owner, AMC Club here locally, and got to meet him when I built this car. So that was super cool. But I built this one doing one of the Trans Am Javelins, but I wanted to do one of the 100 street cars, which is what this is. And it came out awesome. But this one being pretty much all Johan. So here's a peek for you guys here. So, built this car. So I had both of these done, and that was like pretty much it. I'm like, all right, I definitely have my two Javelins, and I never really thought it was gonna, go any farther than that. It's like, all right, everybody has their holy grails and dreams of what they're gonna build, and sometimes this stuff like this happens. So I didn't show you this one, but it's pretty much the same. I'm using a toothpick just to pop the hoods up from underneath. But yeah, this one, it still has the nubs on it, so I'm very careful, because sometimes I've had these break, but there's the engine on this one. So, and this one being all resin here. That's a Model Haas hood from back in the day. So anyway, being as it was, my buddy Bernie had this one. And, and he asked me one time about finding a rear bumper for it because it was missing a rear bumper. And, or it was broken, I should say, but it needed a rear bumper. So, he knew I was into Javelins and knew I built these two. So he puts this thing in my hands and he goes, here, you want this? I'm like, no, I really don't need another 70 Javelin. Plus, it was a funny car and it really didn't appeal to me all that much. And he's like, no, you just, he had it in my hands and he's all, you'll want it. I'm like, no, I really, he goes, well, you haven't even asked me how much. I'm like, well, I don't want to know how much because I got a funny feeling. He goes, $25. I'm like, $25. I'll give you $25 for this. And, it was pretty nice. Here's a picture of it. But it needed a restoration, but it wasn't bad. So then it turned into, I've got it, I'm working on it. And that's kind of funny that I mentioned the bumpers, because here's one of the bumpers I'd found and re-chromed, but when I tried to take it off the tree, it shattered. Okay, here's another one from another car that I had gathered somewhere along the line. Some of this stuff can be brittle. And then here's the other bumper that I had found, chromed. It snapped clear off, but I managed to glue it back on with a real tiny seam, so it's not perfect, but it's chrome. And then here's a resin one that I acquired in my collections, another front bumper. And then even this one, my good buddy gave me this back. This is actually the resin bumper that came with this kit, and I didn't use it because I wanted the Javelin name plate on it. But at the time, these were available from Model Haas. So this one has Model Haas front and rear bumpers, and then I had the unplated bumpers. So I ended up getting this back, and this is the one that's going to go in here. So it's kind of funny. And speaking of 69, when I was casting 69 Javelin parts, this is one of my grills. Being that how these are made, and I knew this is one that I had cast, and I did sell a couple of spare parts to a few people here and there, but it made its way back to me into a parts kit that I had picked up, which I'll show you here in a minute. So it's kind of funny that some of these parts are a little rough, but I started saving all my parts in case another project comes around and I may need it. So it is kind of comical how that works, but I'll show you. Like, here's 370 Javelins, but my dream was to build that one and then this one. So I got, the 70 Javelins. This is the funny car that I'm going to redo. So, finding the glass and some of the parts, it's kind of been going on for years now. But, so I've had it 6 years now. And I'm just now really getting to itching to do it. Then I showed you this one. I picked up off of eBay a couple months back. Another 70 Javelin Trans Am car. And the reason I picked this one up is because this is exactly how it was. Everything's there. Nothing is missing. And it's like, yeah, okay, this is nice. And, I'm like, well, maybe I'll, restore it and do it as the Trans Am car, because that's part of the history. And, I've mainly stayed out of race cars, but that's kind of gotten a little bit more interest. And, of course, the Trans Am version, the body's a little different. Some of the emblems are missing. The gas caps are on both sides. It's got these pieces here into the body. No emblems on it in certain areas. And, of course, the exhaust cutouts right here in the body. So these are some of the things I had to fix on that resin body because it came with those features. So, here's a race car version. So I picked this one up. And, watching for stuff. I got another set of decals for this one. So, and those are originals. Just, they're on eBay. So I grabbed those. And I made my notes here of, just some of the tiny little things that are missing. Just the 3 hoses are missing. And the coil for the ignition is missing. I have those parts in multiple kits lying around all over the place. But I haven't put them back. So there's another one. So, and as it goes, the word gets out, you mention it to people, and then other kits come my way. One of them, of course, is this whole kit, which, I won't say it was a deal, but it was one of those where I had the money in my pocket and, I ended up buying it. Wasn't fully expecting to, and I've shared this kit on the channel. It's virtually mint, has a couple pieces knocked off of the trees here. The tires are here. I mean, I've shown this kit. All of it's here, and then I wasn't sure what to do with it. So, but everything's here. It's got all of the funny car parts, all of the stock parts, so you can build it as this stock car race car. It's got those decals, and I've got extras of those decals. You can make it the funny car if you wanted to. So all the funny car parts are in this kit as well. And then, of course, you can make the stock car, the street stock car. So all those parts are in here. So this is literally 1.5 kits. And you start to realize, expensive this kit can be. But it's literally 1.5 kits. So, this one, if I want to build the race car, which is pretty much most of the stock stuff, but this has a stock interior, doesn't have the Trans Am interior, which this car has, and it doesn't have the Trans Am chassis. The chassis are different. This has the stock chassis as far as the stock car goes, with the molded in exhaust, where the Trans Am car does not have the molded in exhaust, and the interior is full-on race and a different dash. So it's kind of funny how much different the kits are. So, pick this one up. And then same kind of thing. This is, this is just this box, but what's in this box, here's the extra thing. But this is, another 70 Mark Donahue Trans Am, but it was a rebuilder. Picked it up for parts. I mean, it's been glued on. Spoilers been on there. It's got the stock interior in there, so the 70 stock interior is in there, and it's got the stock chassis underneath it. But this is all just a mix match podge of all the stuff. So I just I have some of my extra parts thrown in here now. So it's there's a lot of the stock parts, the headers, the boosters, single snorkel air cleaner, dual snorkel air cleaner, the pan, the shifter. There's one of the hoses, 2 hoses. So I mean, I need those hoses for that one I just mentioned. So, this stuff's in here. Got tires, another hood. This is a resin hood. This is a resin hood. Windshield, another bumper, a couple of different wings. And it's got both wings. It's got this one with no lock cylinder, and it's got the 71 wing in here as well, right here. The AMX wing also. So this is just kind of, some of the stuff that's extra. And then on top of it, so I think this will be number 7 if I do the count right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, this is number 7, but same kind of thing. This was a friend of mine had it, and he's kind of selling some of his stuff, and he knew I was into Javelins, so I ended up buying this one off of him. There's his notes, some of the parts. So, but here's another one with all the full-on race stuff. And, a nice body. It's all the race car stuff. It's the Mark Donahue version. There's all these parts here, the chrome, the wheels and tires. I mean, it's all in here. Decals are here somewhere. I think they're actually in the instructions. Another set of decals. Yeah, right here. So, and the same kind of thing. It's like, all right, didn't pass this one up either, so grab this one. It's not a full-on mint kit, but it's pretty darn close. But I haven't done a kit contents of what's in this one. But, there's my 70 Javelins. So to say that, I like this car, kind of an understatement. But when it comes to restoring some of these things, this is kind of what happens. You start keeping your eyes out, you're letting people know what's out there, and you just keep watching this kind of stuff, and you end up doing this, and it's kind of comical. And then I start to realize, all right, this one came my way, that one came my way, this one came my way. Sometimes not always the greatest bargain, but it is kind of comical how that works out. And those guys, that do restorations like this, exactly how this sometimes goes. And like some of you guys that I've been dealing with over the years, and say, hey, you got this, or you got that, and hey, yeah, maybe. And And, some of them, they'll ask me, hey, any chance you got this part? And it's like, well, yeah, are you willing to let it go? I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no. It really depends on the part and the situation and if I have any plans for it. Sometimes I regret letting stuff go, but it's kind of funny to think, one time, I gave that to my friend, and then next thing you know, 10 years later, I get it back from him, and now I need it, but I didn't need it then when I gave it to him, but I didn't have this at the time. So it's kind of funny how that works out. But, same thing with my 58 through 60 Thunderbirds, AMT Thunderbirds, multiples of those. The Corvettes, a lot of the vintage Corvettes from the 60s, the AMT Stingrays. I'll show you some of those sometime. But yeah, you get into restoring model kits, this stuff happens. You start to, gather stuff, and then you try to remember where it's at, what happened to it. But it is kind of comical. But I never thought in, 15 years ago when I wanted to build this car that, as hard as this was to find parts for or to find, that now I would have, so many of them. So those of you guys who have been looking for these, I'm sorry. I've been kind of hoarding them, I guess. Not on purpose, but, it's just a really cool car, and I really love the Javelin story. And these are just the 70s. I do have two 68s. I have one 69 that I have built. 169 or two? At least one. But I do know I got another rebuilder. I had a couple extras, and I sold some of them off. Part of me regrets doing that. 71 through 74s, I've got a number of those too. And same thing with the 68, 69, 70 AMXs. I got two more 70 AMXs, one resin, one not. I don't know how many 69 AMXs, I think three. Two at least, or maybe a third one. I got a 68 AMX in the thing that hasn't been built yet. But yeah, when you're restoring stuff, you end up collecting a lot of them. But, it's part of the fun is chasing down the parts too. I don't know why, but, scoring the parts and eventually getting everything I need to rebuild it is kind of part of the fun for me as well. So some of you might, feel that way as well. But those of you guys that have been commenting, have fun with it, take your time on it, enjoy it, make it a funny car, make it, more authentic to a funny car, which was part of my thing was, if this had all of the emblems and everything on it, I'd be really reluctant about modifying it or sanding it. But, I had to fix the pillar already. But a funny car really wouldn't have any of the door jambs or the door handles. It's literally like a piece of fiberglass. But this car is still kind of funny to me because, this hood scoop, even though I'm switching to a hood that's a little more beat up, I love that hood scoop. That's an iconic hood scoop. But when you see the other, the Javelin Funny Cars, the hoods are flat. So, and there's a hole in the glass for the engine. This one, the glass doesn't have a hole in it, and the engine's behind the glass. So, is the engine starving for air? That's kind of funny to think about. Should I even put a windshield in it? Should I worry about the aerodynamics? The hood scoop, take it off or not? Well, to me, that hood scoop is iconic. I want to keep it there. But I'll fill in the hood, fill in the cowl, remove all the wipers, remove the door handles, fill in the seams, smooth it all out. I'll paint the bumpers to look more like, a fiberglass painted funny car than an actual chrome street car. So that's where, I'm really leaning towards going. So all you guys that voted and said do that, I really do appreciate that. And that's the angle I'm going to go. But this is kind of a slow, long-term project. So when I'm in the mood to do body work, I'll work on it. I'll do the red, white, and blue paint job. I've had the decals recreated. They're in here somewhere. I think they're in the box. One of the boxes here. Yeah, I think they're... Yeah, I believe they're in here. Let's see. Did I tape it? Yep, taped it shut. That's either original set. No, this is an original set. I did have some redone as well, but I ended up finding an original set. So that's what this is. But I do have a couple of sets that were recreated as well. So, yeah, kind of funny how all that works. Anyway, yeah, got decals all over the place. But when you're planning some of this stuff, That's what happens. Anyways, you guys, thanks for listening to me ramble on and everything. And I really do appreciate all the input and everything. And you guys, you have a wonderful weekend. And I will see you next time.